Less than 3 weeks now after the precarious ceasefire came into effect, Israel has launched airstrikes on Gaza, killing, at latest count, 104 people. That's according to local hospitals. The strikes follow an order from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu after Israel accused Hamas of violating the ceasefire and killing an IDF soldier. For more on this unfolding story, we're joined this morning by retired Major General David Fraser, CTV News military expert. Good morning. I guess my first question is there even still a ceasefire in place if we're now looking at deadly airstrikes?
Well, there's a remnant of a ceasefire, but United States leadership, the president, the vice president are working hard to try to say there is. At the same time, we have, incidents on the ground, which we should expect. But when the prime minister orders an attack, and in many ways is disproportionate to what was happening on the ground, it really does put into question, what do we have in the way of a ceasefire?
Yeah, you mentioned the president. President Trump has said that nothing would jeopardize this ceasefire. He also said that that Israel should strike back if they are struck. So with both sides continuing to accuse one another of violating this fragile truce, where does it leave a state of negotiations right now?
Well, first of all, President Trump wants nothing to disrail what he is going to use for his Nobel Peace aspirations, that he stopped yet another war. But at the same time, when you squeeze as many people into Gaza as they are now, with the Israelis behind that yellow line, there are going to be incidents. And these should be done and handled at the lowest level. But the Prime Minister of Israel certainly is making this difficult for the United States, for the Gazans, and, quite frankly, for the IDF. So this really does put into jeopardy the longevity of a ceasefire.
David, you said that there are remnants of a ceasefire left in place. What is still holding? What is still in place?
The intent that, the Israelis have pulled back past the yellow line, the fact that, we're still talking about a ceasefire, but every day the escalation of violence, and, this is going to escalate tensions and whatnot. This is making the ceasefire more and more tenuous every day.
Palestinians have been returning home for weeks now. One of the charities on the ground, Save the Children, commented that the ceasefire was supposed to mean safety and relief and the beginning of recovery, but instead there's this ever-present fear that a hit could come when they're not aware. How does this latest strike change things on the ground? I mean, intent doesn't provide relief or recovery.
Exactly, Anne-Marie, because what we should be hearing and seeing is aid trucks going in huge numbers, 600 plus a day. We should be seeing and hearing about more talks about the next phase of the ceasefire, and we're not seeing any of that. What we're seeing is, the focus on attacks on the ground, disproportionate responses by the Israelis against these things, and just, the raising of political rhetoric that, the United States has to keep going out and defending that there is a ceasefire. These are not good signs. We should be seeing talks about what, how far the negotiations are, not that the fact that we still have a ceasefire after killings like what we just talked about.
Using your expert eyes on what's happening in the ground, does it look any different right now between what it did before the ceasefire and what we're seeing even this morning?
Well, it does to me. I mean, in the sense that, there isn't as much fighting. And so that's the good news. So the fact that we do have a ceasefire that was agreed to, and that the fact that there is some humanitarian aid going in, but it's just the political rhetoric that, that is not, ratcheting down, but it seems to be ratcheting up, and that's really disconcerting.
Retired Major General David Fraser, our CTV News military expert. Great to have you on this morning. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
If you like that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed, where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.